You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to The Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, September night show. I am committed to providing you the knowledge needed to be successful in every area regarding your finances. Knowledge is power, and that's what you'll receive from listening to the show today. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but you can always call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or online at themoneyhour.com with any questions that you have, or if you'd like to connect with the guests that I have in studio. And right now, I'm going to have a conversation with Kim Fraser with John L. Scott, marketing, pricing, and listing strategies. Kim, thank you so much for coming back in studio.
Thank you for having me.
And a little bit about Kim. Kim Fraser is local Realtor who works at John L. Scott in Downtown Bellevue. Kim has just celebrated her 15th year with John L. Scott and is in the top 1% of all brokers within John L. Scott. She has sold over 900 homes in her career and loves helping people with real estate needs. She has also earned credentials as Accredited Staging Professional as well as Certified Luxury Home Marketing Specialist, and definitely deserving to be here today and represent the arena of buyers and sellers in the real estate arena. And Kim, I'm really excited about the topic, marketing, pricing, and listing strategies, because a lot of times sellers feel because the market is so crazy that they can get whatever they want for their home, and it really doesn't matter to strategize. The reality is you can lose just as much by not strategizing in this market as you can in a buyer's market. So, Kim, why is it important to hire a realtor with a proven track record and marketing plan that is familiar with the community?
Well, one of the reasons that you want to hire a local expert is different regions vary as far as pricing, strategy. Obviously, the east side and Seattle market's a little bit more competitive than farther north and farther south. So how you approach your pricing, your comp stays on market, whether you're doing a multiple offer review period, the east side in Seattle, definitely. Sometimes in the south end, you'll see it a lot less. I would say almost every listing in the east side in Seattle has a 3 to 5 day review period. Once it gets listed and they review offers, they list it on a Thursday. They review all the offers either Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday typically. In the south end or farther north, you sometimes can shoot yourself in the foot. Maybe 30 to 50% have an offer review period just because the market times are a little bit longer typically in those markets, or if they overprice the listing. Yeah. They can be stale, dated, and then people are like, oh, it didn't get multiple offers. Yes. If it didn't get multiple offers, then they automatically, you assume after that 3 or 5 day window, then it's worth less because it didn't get the offers they were anticipating. So sometimes you can shoot yourself in the foot a little bit.
Makes
a little
sense.
Overzealous.
And the review period, why do they do that?
To collect offers and try to drive the price
up.
Makes
sense.
And sometimes I struggle with this with some of my sellers because I have clients who think their houses are worth 10 to 20% more. I'll give them a recommended list price with the hopes of them eventually, coming down or coming to their senses and realizing that the market won't support their price.
Yes.
But this season, I found that some of my listings are pretty stubborn, where you're like, well, I haven't gotten any showings. I'm like, well, because your house is overpriced, like 10 or 20%. And they sometimes get offended, and then or they don't want to compete against themselves and shoot themselves in the foot, they tell me. But if you don't have anybody coming through your door and we've got all these great marketing pieces in place, there's nothing more I can do as an agent. My hands are tied.
Yes. So important to listen to what your agent expert is saying. So Kim, why should you have your realtor provide their marketing plan and strategy prior to listing your home?
Biggest thing is so there's no miscommunication. You want to know kind of a detailed plan of what their action plan is going to be from start to finish. How many days does the agent need to prepare their listing for sale? So a lot of times you've got to kind of work your way backwards. You want to put it on middle of the month. It's maybe take 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, depending on what the agent, has in regards to marketing, aerial photography, Matterports, virtual tours, those types of things that take preparation, getting the photographer scheduled, getting the sign up. We have even a sign requirement the last 6 months in Washington that we used to be able to put a sign request in and the sign was up the next day. Okay. Well, now we have to notify that company, call before you dig. So the sign company, we let them know, and then it takes 3 business days. Yeah, because apparently they were hitting some things other than sprinkler systems. So they come out and mark the property, and it's like a $5,000 fine, or 5 or 10. I think it's $5,000 fine if you dig a signpost without having it properly marked. It's pretty steep. So that's one thing that, if you're not proactive and planning out, that's even if having from the sign that's going to hold your flyers at the front of the listing.
Yep. Yes.
Starting it all the way forward. So you want to kind of know what the strategy is, what the timeline is, what the expectation is. Probably smart to look at pricing expectations as well, especially if a client is confident their house is worth more than what the realtor is suggesting. Smart, because we spend thousands and thousands of dollars marketing these properties. And sometimes they'll just light money on fire. It's nice to have the listing, but sometimes you shoot yourself in the foot. So it's nice if you have a strategic pricing plan. If they don't get that offer and price as an agent, it would be smart to have that agreement up front. So you're not having to have the awkward conversation 30 or 60 days down the road if it hadn't sold.
Of course. So Kim, what about your recommendation for properties that don't have comparable properties or unique properties, homes overbuilt or underbuilt in a community? How do you kind of strategize around your price with those?
Those are the most difficult. Obviously, the more cookie cutter the neighborhood, easy because every third house is the same house. So within a, usually 5 or 10% margin, you can pretty much hit a price depending on upgrades and comps and short sale foreclosure, which we don't see a ton of in our market anymore.
Yes.
But so you kind of, that was 10 years ago, and that was a tough few years there. Yeah. So it's amazing what you can live through. So a lot of times I recommend, if I can't find anything, sometimes I scout, you scour everything, the MLS. Sometimes I recommend an appraisal, just going ahead and hiring the appraiser, and I offer to split the cost with them. Especially if we're having kind of a discrepancy on price, I just let them know I'll credit them afterwards because I'm not going to pay for the appraisal up front.
Of course.
And then all of a sudden it doesn't sell and then I'm out, $500 or $1,000. So depending on the price point, I might offer to pay for the full appraisal, at closing or split the cost with them depending on price point and what the commission is going to be in the commission structure. Because that way the appraisers just have a more detailed, nitty gritty look and off market things they can find off market listings and sales a little bit better than we can as agents. Not that I couldn't go through the county records. I don't have time.
Yes.
I'd rather pay $500 and let
have
an
someone else
expert come
that.
do it.
Yes.
Yeah, not my favorite thing to do.
So give a little bit about your magic around coming up with a price for a home, because it really is a strategy and it takes expertise, it takes strategy and just really understanding what to do and what's happening in that actual market to find out how to strategize. So what is your magic sauce?
Well, you kind of have to look at, days on market in a specific community. Like I said, the East Side and Seattle market's going to move a lot faster typically unless you're overpriced. And there are still houses, and obviously East Side, anything under $1 million goes in a second.
Yes.
Depending on different parts of Bellevue, West Bellevue, you can't find anything you want to live in for probably 1.8 or 2 million in a single family home that's not, 50 years old and a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, probably under 1.5 million, because cost of dirt now, a building lot's probably 1.2 million in West Bellevue.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Lakemont, I think that moves pretty quickly at like 1.2, 1.3 and under. Somerset, anything under 1.5. You start getting to those price points where you're getting close to 2 million and up. There's fewer buyers in the buyer pool.
Yes.
So I think the higher price points, you have to be more strategic in trying to get as close as possible for pricing.
Yeah.
Because the days on market are typically just going to be longer because you have a smaller buyer pool.
And it's hard too because it's a moving target. The price is kind of adjusting, or the value of that home is adjusting with what's happening right now, which is a moving target. Yeah, it's crazy.
And what things close for. There's been some beautiful homes over there, 1.7, 1.8, and you would think that who's in the market at that time?
Yes, yeah.
Now we're going into, fall and winter. Typically less inventory, typically fewer buyers. Most people aren't super excited about moving in the holidays unless they have to, or they're, very specific in their move, or they move into the area. So you have to be, I think, a little bit more strategic in your pricing now than maybe March, April, May, when, influx of people are trying to do it before school starts, things like that.
Yeah. So Kim, what about the risk of overpricing?
I see it every day.
Yeah.
And I work a lot in the Lake Taps market down south, and anything under $1 million, I've sold pretty easily this year. I have 5 listings over $1 million, and 1 have sold. And that's kind of the strategy I'm having with some of my clients. I think the 3 that are out there are probably $150,000 to $200,000 high in price, and not every house sells. So when you get to that luxury marketing arena, whether it's $1.5 million in Lake Taps or it's $3 million in Bellevue, your buyer pool shrinks. And so the more either you wait out the season, and it's going to take a season or two, depending on where your location is. But pricing is very, very crucial, especially when you're the upper tier or whatever community that you're working on. Your buyer pool is just going to be smaller in general.
Yeah, and let's talk about photography and really mastering that. And how important is that in the market?
Presentation's huge. Say 5 years ago, we would still go out and take our own pictures. Have a nice Canon, camera and beautiful,
yes.
Very nice quality photography. I was never taking pictures with my iPhone or anything like that. But probably, I would say in the last 3 to 5 years, it's becoming more increasingly important to get the professional photographer out there. They run anywhere from probably $300 to $600 a shoot for each house. But just the crispness, the quality of the photography really lends itself to having the house show in its best light. I saw on Facebook yesterday, the Realtor posted a picture in a community that we both work in. And she was like, oh my gosh, they took a picture. It was on the MLS, but from the driver's seat with their iPhone through the car window, and you could even see like the window frame out the passenger side window, and I got like half the house, and that was the main photo on the MLS, and we were just dying.
Wow.
So I mean, you're still seeing that.
First impression is important.
$500,000-$600,000 listing. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so you really want to make sure spend $300 to $500, money well spent as far as marketing.
So it's a
your
great
listing.
question. If you're a seller, it's a great question to ask your agent during the listing presentation. Are you going to hire a professional photographer so that you know that they're going with the quality and what's needed?
And always ask to see their work too. Just say who are you planning on using. If it's within a couple of photographers, it's
great advice.
Yeah, not a bad question to ask.
Yeah. So Kim, what about new trends in listing presentation?
Well, one of the things that we've implemented in the last couple of years, we bought a several $1,000 drone that we fly over for all of our listings, unless it's really going to be a disservice to the listing. So we've got, it's really kind of cool. Get the rooftop, the backyard, what's behind there, those types of things. So we do aerial photography. We also have that new 3D technology Matterport that we do for all of our listings, which is a 3D tour. It's very important when you have international or out of area buyers, depending on what market you have, because they can literally walk through the house like they were there. It's an incredible 3D tour.
It's powerful.
It does the floor plan. It does a dollhouse view. So those are things in addition to just your regular MLS photos and marketing and a virtual tour that we do as well. So those are all services that really take it up a notch and get you the most exposure as possible as a seller.
Yes. And so print material. I mean, what are you doing for that?
Always top notch. You're never going to see like a little regular piece of paper flyer in my flyer box. Everything's heavy cardstock, two-sided, full gloss. You want to be able people to pull the flyer out of the flyer box and not have them stick together. UV coating's good, because sometimes with this weather, people don't shut the box and they glue together. So that's very important. The presentation not only is a reflection upon the house, but it's a reflection upon the agent.
Makes total sense.
And that's going to help bring along an agent more business and also represent the house in its best light to the community.
Yeah. So with technology, everybody knows everyone has access to the properties through the MLS, consumer, as well as all the real estate professionals out there. But brokers opens and to show and showcase that property. How important is that?
To be honest with you, with new technology, I would say 20 years ago, very important. Today, not as important. So I don't attend brokers opens. It's not that I'm just too busy. It's not the highest and best use of my time.
Yes.
Unless it's a $5 million house in West Bellevue that I'm not going to be able to get into unless I came to that broker's open where the agent has to be present. It's probably a waste of my time, just because most of the buyers that I have would be, I can see online with good photography, things like that, if it's a buyer for that buyer pool. Yeah. So I don't think they're usually well attended, even in the East Side markets.
Got it.
Some markets are better than others, but I don't think it's going to make the house sell.
Yeah. So Kim, I've got less than a minute here with you to wrap things up. Advantage of open house.
Open houses, once again, certain markets are, heavily trafficked for open houses. East Side and Seattle, still very, very popular. Open houses, I can have anywhere between 70 and 100 people through in a weekend. A lot of agents will just send their clients. They don't have to go out there. So they're like, go look at all these open houses. And then you'll get offers coming in from them. There are some security risks involved with open houses, just both from a real estate perspective or a theft perspective.
Yes.
So it's very, very important. Any prescription medication, firearms, jewelry, all of those things that cannot be replaced, or you don't want to have anybody have their hands on. Because an agent, we can't be everywhere in the house at once. You have 50 people in the house, and you just, they go everywhere. So security is very important. So make sure you put all your valuables away.
Makes total sense. Kim, thank you so much for coming in. It's great how much information we can get through in such a short period of time.
Good thing we're fast talkers.
Exactly. Coming up next on the Money Hour, automobile property damage claims. Are you the victim of unsafe repairs? We'll have Jeff Butler with Harley Lake City Collision right here on 1150 AM KKNW after this short break.